4:30 on WKYT this morning. A Lexington store owner is asking for help finding a woman she says stole thousands of dollars worth of rings right out of her store. You'll see the surveillance video of that woman ahead this morning.
A close call for a Lexington woman and her mother. The two flew out of Istanbul just hours before the huge terror attack there. That story is coming up.
And friends are coming together to help the family of Lexington's latest murder victim. You'll hear from the victim's daughter ahead on WKYT this morning.
This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning, and it's great to have you with us on WKYT on the last day of June. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Rebecca Smith. And June really going out on a nice note.
It really is. It's beautiful out there this morning and pleasantly cool. Let's check in. Meteorologist Micah Harris is in our First Alert Weather Center.
Yeah, you know, we're about 10 degrees below average, and we're still hanging on to really nice conditions. There's the Defender Radar Network. Nothing going on early this morning. Just a couple of clouds here and there. Temperatures in the 50s and 60s. It's a very pleasant feel. Typically, we're right around 66 degrees, and we're nowhere near that in many locations. We get into your afternoon, another nice one in store. A couple of degrees higher than yesterday, 82. That's what we're calling for. Still extremely pleasant, guys. We're going to be talking about some really, not so much warm air, but some moist air streaming on in for the weekend. Typically means some rain, and I'm going to show you when you can expect that coming up.
Okay, we'll see in a bit. In the news this morning, they say it appeared she was a normal customer asking questions about jewelry that was for sale. But the owner of a store in downtown Lexington says the woman was actually a thief.
And the owner says that thief stole thousands of dollars worth of dollars, I should say. Could be dolls, but it's rings in this case. Monique Blair is tracking the investigation.
Somebody knows her. Somebody definitely knows her.
This is the person Falcha Irish import store owner Lisa Betts is asking you to identify. Around 5 o'clock Tuesday night, Betts says this woman walked into her downtown Lexington store.
And she seemed like a really nice person, and that's why she was left alone at the case, and she was like asking a bunch of questions. So it wasn't like she had, "I'm going to steal all your gold rings," written all over her face. So, but she did.
Betts says the thief spent about 30 minutes in the store laughing with the clerk and asking her about different merchandise, but she left without buying anything. Instead, Betts says the woman had about $2,000 worth of gold rings stuffed down her shirt.
It's awful. I mean, who would do that? Like, every day is hard enough as it is.
Now, Betts says the thief was pretty bold because right when you walk into the store, there's a camera looking directly at you. And to that, there's a second one up here on the wall, a third one directly over the jewelry case. And on top of all of it, you're told you're on camera.
So all little robbers out there, don't come a knocking. We have video cameras. We're going to catch you, and we're going to go to the news and social media. So please just stay away.
Not long after we finished our interview with Betts, she called to tell us the woman actually returned to the store Wednesday evening. At that time, the same clerk was working, and to avoid any trouble, she secretly called police. By the time police got to the store, the woman had already taken off. If you know who this woman is, you are asked to call the Lexington Police Department. In Lexington, Monique Blair, WKYT.
Well, once the woman left the store, we're told she walked towards Limestone and then got into a white Ford van with someone else who was driving.
The death toll in the terror attack at an airport in Istanbul, Turkey has now risen to 42, and more than 200 people were injured. Investigators are still trying to figure out who is responsible for the attack. As Jonathan Vigliotti tells us, they say signs point to the Islamic State.
A Turkish media outlet says this image shows one of 3 suicide attackers at the airport in Istanbul Tuesday. Turkish investigators say the men arrived together in a taxi and split up. The first man entered the terminal, opened fire, and then blew himself up.
And then the people started running immediately, and you just ran. You just ran with them.
A second attacker took advantage of that chaos to get upstairs and blow himself up. The third man waited outside and ambushed people trying to escape.
There's really no place to go. There's no place to hide. It's a frightening feeling. It's a feeling of terror.
A U.S. intelligence source says Turkish investigators have tracked down the taxi driver who dropped off the attackers here at the airport. The driver said he did not recognize the language they were speaking. Turkey blames ISIS, and U.S. intelligence says the evidence points in that direction.
We know this is part of our broader shared fight against terrorist networks, and we will continue to work closely with Turkey to root them out.
There is an extra layer of security outside the airport building. Operations are back up and running, and crews are repairing the damage from the blasts. Jonathan Vigliotti, CBS News, Istanbul, Turkey.
Investigators say DNA tests on the attackers are underway at this point. They say it is possible they were jihadists originally from southwest Russia. A Lexington woman says she had a close call. Allison Duvall says she and her mother flew out of the airport in Istanbul just about 2 hours before the terror attack. They had spent a few days in Turkey before flying to Spain for the next part of their trip. Duvall says they didn't know what had happened until they landed and heard frantic messages from loved ones asking if they were okay. And Duvall graduated from Transylvania University. Another Transy grad, Stephanie Schultz, died along with her husband in the terror attacks at the Brussels airport back in March.
Well, the people in the community are still doing what they can do to help the family of a Lexington murder victim. Police say 36-year-old Robert Warner was shot over the weekend outside an apartment complex off Eastland Parkway. Police haven't made any arrests for his murder. Victor Puente has more on a fundraiser that was held in honor of Warner's family.
The crowd gathered at the Swahili Elks Lodge Wednesday evening for sharing memories of a man they loved.
Everybody's still numb, shocked, sad, because you would never ever thought that this would happen, not to a person like him.
And he was the type of person that if you seen you down or if you seen you unhappy, he was always the one that wants to cheer you up.
Robert Warner was shot and killed Saturday. Since then, multiple businesses have held fundraisers to help his family pay for his funeral.
We're just trying to help the family out as much as possible for a well-deserving man.
And that support hasn't gone unnoticed. Warner's daughter says they've been lifted by the generosity.
I really like seeing how everybody cares about my dad because it makes me feel like really good inside to know that he's been loved more than our family.
Warner's friends say they hope to continue to help his family. They also hope someone can come forward to give police information that would lead them to the person who killed him.
Please come forward, let us know, so we can get this case, past us and get some closure on it.
Closure they can't get while his killer is still free. In Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Well, this was at least the third fundraiser for Warner's family. Members of the motorcycle club he belonged to also gathered donations last night off Georgetown Street.
Lexington police are looking for a man who they say tried to rob a Chuck E. Cheese. It happened yesterday afternoon at Chuck E. Cheese, that location in the Woodhill Circle Plaza off New Circle Road. Police say the man first came in asking for a job application and then left. They say he returned a few hours later, started talking to a manager about a job, but then said he had a weapon and was there to rob the restaurant. Police say the manager told him they didn't have access to the safe, so he left without getting anything. And they say he apologized as he left. Lexington police also investigating a robbery at a Dollar General store. It happened about 10 last night at the Dollar General on Bryan Station Road. They say a man walked in, implied he had a gun, and demanded money. Police say he left after getting what he wanted. Nobody was injured. Police say they are looking for a white man about 6 feet tall with a thin build in that case. They say he was wearing a black baseball cap, khaki pants, a striped shirt, and sunglasses.
Authorities say a grizzly bear has killed a mountain biker near a national park in Montana. They say the 38-year-old man was killed yesterday afternoon about a mile from a campground just outside of Glacier National Park. Authorities say the victim was riding with someone else when they surprised the bear, which knocked the victim off his bike. They also say they are looking for that bear, and there have only been about 10 bear-related deaths in that area since 1910. Well, many people in central Kentucky are mourning the loss of the founder of Southland Christian Church. Reverend Wayne Smith died yesterday. He was 87 years old. Reverend Smith started Southland Christian Church in 1956. It's since become the largest church in central Kentucky with multiple campuses in the Lexington area. Reverend Smith retired from the church in 1995, but those who knew him say he kept preaching.
He was a pastor that could teach and a pastor that could preach, but he was a pastor. He would go to the hospital. Now look, this is a large church. I don't know that he could get to everybody, but he tried.
Reverend Smith will be remembered during Sunday services this Sunday at Southland Christian. His visitation and funeral will be there next week. Days and times are still being finalized.
All right, nobody could forget his infectious laugh for sure. Wildlife leaders in Clay County say they are trying to trap a bear that keeps coming to the Walmart looking for food. Over the last week, police say the bear has been looking through dumpsters behind the Manchester Walmart. So Fish and Wildlife from Frankfort have installed a trap nearby using a sock covered in peanut butter as bait. And of course, they're hoping to catch the bear.
He hasn't harassed anybody yet, just kind of a nuisance, them having to pick up behind it.
If the bear is caught, Fish and Wildlife plans to take it to a safer, more wooded area. Police warn people not to approach the bear if they see it. Good idea.
Yeah.
Don't have to tell me twice on that.
Right.
4:40 on WKYT this morning. We're just getting started with the latest news on your Thursday.
Well, your child could become the victim of online phishing. Some tips to help prevent that from happening when we return.
We're in the 50s and 60s early this morning. It's an awesome day in store. We get towards your afternoon, another good-looking day, and then we head towards your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's when things start to change. We'll show you that in the forecast coming up.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
58 degrees right now in Frankfort, 60s in some locations and 50s in the other. It's still a very nice start to the day, 61 there in London. And that's still well below average. That's 5 degrees below average when typically we're around 66 degrees. Looks good on the highways and byways. I don't see any problems whatsoever. Haven't heard of any issues either. We hit the afternoon at 82 degrees. Yesterday we finished off upper 70s, lower 80s. It was a nice feel. And today I believe it's going to be pretty much the same way. A couple of degrees higher. And that's it. You'll still have plenty of sunshine in the forecast as well. So all in all, this is a good looking day heading out about. If you weren't able to grill out, knock out some yard work, don't worry. You'll be able to do it today. And you'll still have chances for the next couple of days too. We go overnight and into tomorrow morning, another upper 50, lower 60 type of morning. And then we travel off through your next few days. Friday, there is a small chance of rain at about 30 to 40%. And that goes for the same story on Saturday. Both Friday and Saturday are going to be mainly dry. Just can't rule out a passing shower or thunderstorm. Any plans going on, I would stick to them because even if you do get a storm roll over you, you're not going to have another one roll over you. It's just one of those deals, one of those setups that you just don't have a lot of rain there in the forecast on Friday and Saturday. Sunday and Monday, that's a different story. Sunday, we look for that system moving in from the west, and that's going to give us rounds of showers and storms through the day. Remember, that's on and off. You will get some breaks on Sunday. Monday, you'll get some breaks here and there, but for the most part, it looks like Monday will be your better opportunity to actually pick up on some rain, which just so happens to be the 4th of July. Now, how much rain are we expecting? Well, before you look at these numbers and think, God, that's a lot of rain, but that's not a lot of rain in a short period of time. That's the next 7 days. We have plenty of time to add up on these rainfall totals, but 1 to 3 inches of rain in the next 7 days, I'm okay with, and I believe a lot of people will be okay with. That's not really flooding concerns right there because you're spanning it out throughout a week, not just 1 day or 2 days. So this is actually beneficial rain that's going to be heading our direction Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and off toward Wednesday too. So really not great chances of rain there in the forecast until we hit late weekend, off into early next week. There are your temperatures in the 80s. I don't see many chances of actually getting really, really warm anytime soon. But guys, the next few days really don't look all that bad. They're mainly dry. And also temperatures still below average. Average is mid-80s, and you really don't see the 86, 87 degrees until you see toward next week. So all in all, it's not all that bad. It's just that Sunday and Monday when a lot of people have those firework plans. It's going to be tough.
Oh, well, you know, it happens. It seems that 80s are nice in July.
Yeah, we'll take it.
It is what it is. We'll make the best of it. We thank you, Micah. 446, the internet can be both wonderful and wicked.
Moms Every Day has some tips on how to keep your kids safe online this summer.
Hi, today we're with Kimberly Hazen from the Better Business Bureau, and kids are out of school. They may be spending more time online, and they can get into trouble.
Right.
What do parents need to know?
Well, we need to understand that there are phishing attempts directed at children because a good identity to steal is a child's because it's a clean record. So your child needs to understand that, you know, certain information like their address, their birth date, you know, things like that should not be shared.
Very good information. And what about shopping?
Yeah, so we all have a couple accounts that are attached to a credit card. So with the click of a button, your child can order a movie or a piece of merchandise. So understanding and talking to your child about permission is needed if they want to shop.
Wow, that's excellent information.
Yeah.
What can parents do to be sure they're safe?
Well, have more than just one conversation about this. It's an ongoing conversation. And so, you know, making sure that you monitor the websites and know what your child is getting into.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
For these tips and more, go to WKYT.com, click on Moms Every Day.
And you'll find the latest news and, of course, the weather forecast updated right there as well. It's great to have you along this morning at 4:48. And WKYT This Morning will be right back with a whole lot more.
Friends of a man shot by his wife in Jackson County are puzzled why anyone would want to hurt him. Details on the shooting when we return on WKYT.
Kentucky mornings start here. You're watching WKYT This Morning.
Well, friends say they can't understand why anyone would want to hurt this man, but police say a Jackson County man's wife tried to kill him.
And state police have charged 32-year-old Elizabeth Snyder with attempted murder. They say she shot Cecil Ray Snyder Sunday and then left their home. They say she returned hours later with some neighbors and claimed she didn't know that Cecil had been shot. Police say Cecil suffered serious injuries. Friends say the couple had a rocky relationship.
It wasn't surprising. She had a temper issue. You know, I'd seen her unload on Ray.
Friends say the couple had been married about 5 years. Elizabeth Snyder is being held on a $250,000 cash-only bond. Police say they arrested her a few days after the shooting based on multiple interviews and leads they got in the case.
New this morning, police in Cincinnati looking for a man who they say attacked and robbed an elderly pizza restaurant worker. But first, a warning for you this morning. The video some of you may find to be disturbing. Police say surveillance video shows the robber throwing a rock at 87-year-old James Hayes, then hitting him with his own cane. It happened last week in the parking lot of La Rosa's restaurant, that is in Cincinnati. Police say the robber then stole Hayes' wallet and car, which was later found a couple blocks away. Hayes was not seriously injured. Good news there in this attack.
We have an update on efforts to repair structural issues at the Lee County Courthouse. County leaders closed part of the courthouse earlier this month after some of the floors started separating from the walls. They say engineers are still trying to figure out what can be done to fix the building. For now, the Family Support and Protection and Permanency Services offices have been moved to Owsley County. But Lee County leaders say they are looking into some new options for employees of those offices.
Animal shelter workers in Florida are blaming a cat for thousands of dollars of flood damage to the shelter. They say one of the cats at the Florida Humane Society in Pompano Beach managed to turn on a faucet at a sink in the shelter's cat room. Man, those cats can be smart. The water ran for at least 17 hours before anyone knew what had happened. By then, much of the shelter had been flooded.
Countertops were ruined, the walls ruined. We had lots of damage with food and storage that we had in the hallway, cat litter.
Well, the shelter says none of the cats were injured. Many of them have to be moved out. They're not sure which cat turned on the faucet, but I'm sure that cat hoping for 9 lives.
Probably not going to take the blame, right? Just to get back into the crowd of other cats. Time this morning is 4:53. Coming up, we'll take a look at some of the stories that our news team is working on for you this morning.
We'll also have another look at your morning forecast.
Good morning, WKYT This Morning, up and at it here on this Thursday. Glad you're along with us. Last day of June, 4:57 now.
It's time to take a look right now at some of the stories we're working on for you this morning.
Our news team is busy. Police right now investigating an early morning robbery at a Lexington gas station. We'll have some details on that. Is it connected to some of these others? We're looking at that angle, and we'll have that coming up in the next half hour.
And let's get a check of weather right now. It's feeling pretty good out there, Micah.
Yeah, it feels great. It's one of those roll your window down type of morning as you're taking off. 55 degrees now in Boyle County, and that goes for Somerset, Stearns. Work your way into Waynesburg, just north of that into southern Lincoln County. Frankfort at 57 degrees. It is a really nice start to the day. So once you head through your day, not much changes. 82 by the afternoon. You'll have a couple of degrees higher than where we were yesterday, but it's still another good one in store. You know it doesn't last too much longer. I'll show you changes coming on Friday, Saturday, and especially Sunday into Monday with another 2 hours of WKYT News.